Let go, you little devil!
We're not killing girls, Yancey.
I always said you were soft-hearted.
What's this?
He's taking his side against me.
That's a lie. Yancey struck the girl. He was going to kill her.
I didn't. I just pushed her out of the way. That's Slocum. His name's on the list.
What are you waiting for, chimpanzee? Have you forgotten independence? That's the man that killed your brother.
There's only you and me here, Dancer, so it can't be used against you. I'm curious. Did you ride with Frank and Jesse James?
I haven't seen them since the war. You've been on my trail for 18 months.
There were 8 of us after you.
Well, you know everything I've done, everywhere I've been.
Yeah, I've heard 1,000 stories about you. But I believe nothing I hear and only half of what I see. I worked for the Pleasanton Detective Agency, and they sent me out to get you. This is just a job of work to me, that's all.
What's this murder charge Pleasanton's got against him?
A fellow named Slokum.
Well, that was during the war. Besides, Bert Slocum killed my...
It wasn't Bert Slocum you killed. It was his brother, Theodore. I'm turning you over to the Kansas City office, and then I'm gonna sleep. Sleep for 8 long weeks.
Guess you've earned it, Cummings. I haven't slept for 9 years myself. That is, really slept.
I told you before, this is only a job of work with me, that's all. The right or the wrong of it doesn't matter. Bert Slocum wants you, Jim. He spent a lot of money to get you. Yeah, he wants you bad. Take us across.
Not tonight, mister. That river's roaring. Be worth your life trying to cross in the dark.
Well, we've got to get over. I'll pay you double.
I wouldn't tackle a job for love of money. Besides, I'm no swimmer.
We're going across.
You must want to get somewhere powerful bad.
I do.
An outlaw, mister?
Let's go.
All right. Come aboard!
Hey! Grab these horses' reins and put them aboard.
And who'll hold the ferry?
This side, Jim.
That means we stay together till we get to Kansas City.
You'll never get me to Kansas City.
I'll get you there, Jim, even if I have to carry you. Look out! Watch yourself!
Ho, boy! Ho!
Look out!
What's the trouble?
Ferry. Can't see her nowhere.
Sure this is the place?
Road leads right up to here, then continues on the other side. Must have busted a rope and gone on down the river.
How long are we going to be held up here, driver? I've got to get to Lanyard.
Me too. I got a herd of cattle coming up the Chisholm Trail. I got to be there to meet them. Ain't there some other place to cross?
Yeah, there's another ferry 10 miles down the river, but that's 10 miles down, 10 miles back. The horses will be pretty tired.
You can rest them a while, can't you?
Yeah, sure. Might as well do it now. All right, got 10 minutes. No one ever saw it this high before. I've been driving this route for 6 years, winter and summer. Hey, take a look down there. Just a minute. What's the matter here?
How long have you been like that?
Since last night.
Where's the ferryman?
He was taking us across when the horses got panicky and capsized the ferry. Couldn't swim.
Too bad.
The horse's hoof caught him in the head.
Surprised at Bart taking a chance crossing the river the way it must have been yesterday. I never knew a more cautious man.
What's your name? Cummings. George Cummings. I work for the Pleasanton Detective Agency.
I didn't think you fellas ever got west of Kansas City.
Occasionally.
Who's he?
His name is Jim Dancer.
Jim Dancer. I never thought a Pleasanton man would get him.
I've heard of him. Even down in Texas, they say he was a real curly wolf. I don't know anything about Jim Dancer. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories about him. But I believe nothing I hear, only half of what I see. I work for Arthur Pleasanton. I was sent to get him. I followed him week in, week out, month after month, and yesterday, well, a man's got to sleep sometime.
Yeah, sometimes a man gets tired and got to sleep. So Dancer went out like that. Handcuffed to a Pleasanton man. Kicked in the head by a horse.
You got a steel fire in your coach?
Don't carry tools on this run. Where's your key?
Threw it in the water to keep Dancer from getting it.
All right, Jim Dancer's dead. This man's alive and he's handcuffed to a...
Got a knife?
Afternoon.
I received a telegraph message asking me to come here. My name is Bertram Slocum.
Oh, yes. Just a minute. Gentlemen?
Mr. Slocum?
That's right.
I'm glad to see you, sir.
Your message said that you had Jim Dancer.
That's right. George Cummings, one of our men, got him.
Well, where is he?
Last word I had was from Bower Springs.
That's only 40 miles. Should have been here by now. You don't suppose that...
I got $10, says Dancer made a monkey out of the detective.
I've never met George Cummings, but Mr. Pleasanton considers him his very best man.
I'll bet you're glad to get this off. I'll tell Travers you're here. George Cummings is here.
Send him in.
Mr. Cummings?
Mr. Travers?
Where's Jim Dancer? I'm Bert Slocum. Where's Dancer?
He's dead.
I said no detective would ever bring in Jim Dancer.
I telegraphed Pleasanton day before yesterday from Bower Springs. He wired back to bring Dancer here.
We know that man. Go on. What happened?
We tried to cross the river on a ferry, and, well, there was an accident. Dancer died.
Where's his body?
Joe Partridge, who drives a holiday stage, helped me bury it.
You should have brought him in. I've got to know for sure that it was Jim Dancer.
Mr. Slocum is right, Cummings. You brought Dancer
Yeah,
that
my
far,
credentials, I'm turning them in. You can send them on to Pleasanton.
You're quitting?
I quit yesterday, along about sunrise, after I sat all night on a riverbank, handcuffed to a dead man. Dancer made a play on the boat. I threw the key overboard so he couldn't get it. Jim Dancer's hand had to be cut off with a pocket knife.
I paid your agency $12,000. That should entitle me to positive proof.
You're right, Slocum. These are for you.
Fellow citizens, this is the moment all of us have awaited so long. The moment when the last spike has been driven that links this town with the great cities of the East. 6 months ago, the buffalo grazed on this very spot. Today, a prairie metropolis stands here, Lanyard, Kansas, named after my good friend Charles Lanyard, Vice President of the Missouri, Kansas, and Pacific. Mr. Lanyard, unfortunately, cannot be here. But if he were here, I would say to him, as I say to you, welcome. Now I would like to extend a word of welcome to our friends from the South, the cattlemen from Texas, who are bringing their herds hundreds of miles over the Chisholm Trail to embark them upon the trains that will take them to the great markets of Kansas City, Chicago, New York. And now, in closing, may I say to you, here comes the first herd! Let's give them a real welcome!
Cummings.
Yeah?
41 days. $82.
pistol.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. George Cummings of the Pleasanton Detective Agency.
Trackless gang number 9.
Oh, you quit the detective business?
7 weeks ago. How much for a room?
$2. Number 12, finest room west of Kansas City.
Cowboys have cut loose!
See here, Marshal. You've got to go out and stop those men. They're endangering people's lives.
Yeah, there ain't nothing meaner than a drunken cowboy.
Now, we want the Texas men to bring their cattle here, but that doesn't mean they can shoot up the town. Now, go out and stop them.
My ma didn't raise no foolish children.
For the last time, Marshal, do your duty. Or turn in your badge.
Marshal's job is over.
So you can't resign now? Well, that's just like quitting under fire.
Ain't it, though?
I'll kill you for that. Hold it, Ben. He ain't got a gun. Get one. Go get yourself a gun and come back.
We can settle this without guns.
Nothing but guns will finish this. I'll give you 5 minutes to get one. If you don't, I'll come and pistol whip you. You heard what he said. Get yourself a gun or start running.
Uncle Bert.
Marshal, could I...
That was Ben Slattery you hit, mister. He's lightning with a gun, greased lightning. Got a string of killings as long as your arm.
You've got nerve, Cummings, but you can't go up against a gunfighter.
Seems I haven't much choice in the matter. You have a Navy gun. Wonder if I could borrow it.
You're gonna face Slattery?
There he is.
Make your play, Slattery.
Wait! Wait!
Was it a fair fight?
Not the fairest thing I ever saw!
You beat him, Cummings. You beat him.
Marshal, here's your gun. It's a good one.
If there's a good man behind it.
Here's the kind of a man this town needs for marshal.
Mr. Slocum, did you see what this man just did?
Yes. Say, you're Cummings, the Pleasanton detective.
Former detective.
Hey, wait a minute, Cummings. I want to talk to you.
Not now.
Bert, that's the man for the marshal's job.
We've got a marshal.
He quit.
You're darn right I quit.
Bert, we've got to do something. We've got to protect the people in this town.
All right. I suggest Johnny Tankard.
We don't want Cummings. Cummings is our man.
You want George Cummings? Look.
That's right. Cummings is our man.
The people seem to want Cummings, Bert.
Would that be your choice, Milo?
Well, you heard the folks.
All right, Paul. As mayor, you can appoint him temporarily. But there'll have to be a vote by the full city council to make it legal.
We can meet tonight during the celebration dance.
Are you all right, my dear?
Yes, I am.
You go in the office and wait for me. I'll take you home soon. I tried my best, Johnny. You heard me.
You didn't try very hard. As soon as that Pipsqueak Hobson sounded off, you gave in.
It wasn't only Hobson, it was those people. They were all for Cummings.
Cummings, a cheap private detective.
Oh, Mr. Cummings, I know I bothered you all afternoon, but we need you. Won't you reconsider and take the marshal's job?
No.
The town council is meeting tonight, and if you will accept the job...
Sorry, I can't take it.
Oh, but Mr. Cummings, at the salary I mentioned...
I said I wasn't interested.
$200 a month and $3 for every arrest. Oh.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Cummings.
Where's there a good place to eat?
The Eldorado's as good as any, although you might find it a little noisy.
I don't mind the noise.
And that's your place.
Thanks.
Mr. Cummings.
Evening.
My niece, Evelyn.
We met this afternoon. Rather informally. I didn't get a chance to thank you. I was never more frightened in my life, except for the time when my father...
Never mind that now, my dear. Hobson talked to you about the marshal's job?
I refused it.
Why? Didn't he tell you the salary?
Yes.
Oh, too bad.
Are you coming to the dance, Mr. Cummings? Didn't you know?
Oh, part of the day's celebration. Thought the townspeople ought to get better acquainted. Nobody knows anyone very well in a new town like this.
Perhaps I'll stop in.
Do.
Good. Good.
Get down, gentlemen. You can't win if you don't get down. All set. Here we go. Ready? 3 wins, 4 losers. Place your bets, gentlemen. Take over, Charlie.
Okay, Dave. Place your bets, gents.
Sit down. Sit down. Will it be?
I want something to eat.
We got beefsteak.
All right.
How are you?
Hello.
That was quite an exhibition you put on this afternoon. Violence seems to follow you around.
I guess you've seen your share of it.
Well, I don't think I'll ever have a long white beard.
Hiya, Florence. Hi, how are you?
Hello, Mr. Cummings.
Oh.
Keep you seated. I didn't expect to see you out this way. You were headed toward Kansas City the last time we met.
I guess the whole country's moving west.
Can I see you for a minute, Miss Peel?
Of course. Excuse me.
I worked with her father on the Mississippi before the war. He was killed in a gunfight when she was only 12. Florence and I are partners.
I understand you've been offered the marshal's job.
News gets around quick.
The fight with Ben Slattery is the talk of the town.
You were good.
A man has to be good in a gunfight. He has to kill or be killed.
Why don't you take the job?
I gave up that kind of work a couple of months ago.
You, almost gave yourself away this afternoon.
You mean something by that, but I don't know what.
You beat Slattery to the draw. Take the job, Jim.
What did you say?
I said, take the marshal's job, Jim Dancer.
guess I'm not hungry after all.
No charge.
Third, right and left through, second and fourth, right and left through, first and third, forward, back, second and fourth, forward, back, first and third, right and left through, second and fourth, right and left through, 490, 80, give the old left hand, back to your partner, right and left grant, hand over hand, till you come
Good evening, Mr. Cummings. Come right in.
Meet your partner.
Mighty fine-looking females. Why don't you grab yourself one to dance?
Gents to the center and back to the bar, ladies to the center and you form a star with the right hand cross. Back with the left and don't get lost. Meet your partner, right hand round, the left hand lady with the left hand round, and then back to your partner as you come down.
Mr. Cummings, so you decided to meet our Lanyard Society after all. They're all here tonight, the very best.
Good people, I imagine.
Do you dance?
Well, I'm afraid it's been so long that
I'd be only too happy to show you.
Well, if you'll forgive me, Miss Slocum, I want to look in on the council meeting.
Of course.
But Tancred's reputation, he's rather well known as a gunfighter. Do we want that kind of a man as marshal?
All right, if you don't take Tancred, who have you got? Come in.
Is it too late to change my mind about that marshal's job?
No, it isn't too late. Gentlemen, this solves our problem.
Splendid, Mr. Cummings, splendid. We were just about to make other arrangements.
Cummings is the man for the job.
From what I've seen of Mr. Cummings, I cannot think of a happier choice.
I'll do my best. That's about all I can promise.
Well, that's good enough for me. Here. As of this moment, you're Marshal of Lanyard, Kansas.
Congratulations, Marshal. Pull up a chair.
Does Mr. Cummings know about the stipend for his office?
$200 a month and...
$3 for every arrest. A goodly wage, Marshal, especially if you're alert to your opportunities. I mean, if you perform your duties diligently.
Judge Leach's office is a fee office, as is mine.
We each get 25% of all the fines.
But I don't believe you've met everyone here. Prosecutor Vedder, Mr. Milo Meeker, Justice of the Peace Chandler Leach, Mr. Carter Bullock, our banker and town treasurer, and Mr. Slocum you already know.
We now have a complete and, I trust, an efficient board of officers. I want Lanyard to be the kind of a town where a respectable woman can walk down the street at any hour of the day or the evening and not be in danger of losing her life or
her dignity.
Or dignity.
The cowboys are raising a ruckus downstairs.
This is the way we dance where I come from. You ain't what shit. Let go of that girl.
There's your first job, Marshal. Throw out those cowboys.
That's enough of that.
What do you think you... Cummings. Just the man I've been looking for.
I'm Marshal of Lanyard now. Get out of here. I'll throw you in jail. Where is your jail?
I'll show you.
Well, come on, everyone. Let's dance. Come on, stop.
In here, gentlemen. Great work, Marshal. Great work. And so soon, too.
Hey, how about some light? Got a lamp in there?
Yeah.
Got a match?
Yeah.
Use it.
Why,
We gotta stop that marshal now. Come on. Let's tear down his jail.
Come on, Marshal, open up! Open up or we'll break her down! Tear them to pieces! Let's try the other door.
What's the trouble, boys?
We want your prisoners.
Drop that shotgun. I've got 2 loads in here. Even though you get me, half of you'll die. Stand still. Start unloading your hardware. Every mother's son of you.
You better do what he says.
Unlock the door.
Move over. Over! Right inside.
Hurry up. Well, look who's here.
All right, boys.
I saw the whole thing, Marshal. Saw the whole thing. 9 more prisoners. You're my man, Marshal. See you in the courtroom in the morning.
Thanks.
I'll walk down the street with you.
No, I think I'll stay here tonight.
Smoke?
Thanks. How'd you know I was Jim Dancer?
Where you were handcuffed.
What do you mean?
Cummings' left wrist was handcuffed to your right.
Did anyone else see it?
I don't think so.
Why did you tell me to take the job?
Like I said on the riverbank, a man gets tired of running. Why did you take the job?
For one reason, I found a couple of good friends here.
See you in the morning, Jim.
Night.
Court's in session. Nice group of prisoners. Mighty nice. What are the charges?
Disorderly conduct for these three.
$25 each.
The proper charge is disorderly conduct and resisting arrest.
That's better. $25 for each charge. 50 apiece, boys.
Why, you stupid whiskey guzzling old...
$25 extra. Total of 75 for you. You boys want to call a couple of names? Come on, boys. It's all right. I don't mind. I get 25% of the fines. No? Proceed, Marshal.
That group tried to break these three out of jail.
Jailbreaking. That's a serious charge. 50 apiece, boys. 3, 6, 8, 9, $450 plus 175. It's a total of, let me see.
$625.
$625 at 25%. That's
$156 and a quarter.
For each of us, yes. And $36 for you, Marshal. All right, boys. Shell out.
Go climb a tree.
$25. $650 altogether.
Just a minute, Judge. I've got a lawyer for these men.
Too late. I already sentenced them.
Your Honor, I have been retained by Mr. Kerrigan to handle
Retain
this-
yourself out of here. The prisoner's been found guilty and fined. $650. Any more prisoners, Marshal?
Why, this is an outrage. I won't pay it.
$50 for contempt of court.
Why, you two-bit imitation of a baboon, why
$100. Would you like to make it 200?
I'm afraid Mr. Kerrigan's going to pay this.
Oh, all right. All right. I'll pay. But I'm telling you, if I ever get you in Texas, $750.
12 men at $3 each. Yes. Here's your money, Marshal. 12 men at $3 each.
I'll get it from the town treasurer at the end of the month.
Suit yourself. But I believe in pay as you go. Want yours now, prosecutor?
I'll take mine the regular way, too, Judge. Leach? Well, Marshal, what do you think of justice in our prairie metropolis of Lanyard, Kansas?
You're a lawyer. What do you think?
The 25%? Marshal, bring me more prisoners. See you later.
Jesse James. Hello, Jim. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Never so surprised in my life as when I saw you yesterday. We thought you were dead. I guess the Pleasanton man got the wrong fellow.
No, he got me all right, only he was killed. Thought it would be a good idea if I took his name.
Why? Just to cover up Jim Dancer's trail, I could understand it. The marshal of a boom town like this isn't exactly invisible.
Yeah, I know. Sit down, Jesse, sit down. It's a long story. Goes back to Florence. I killed a man there named Theodore Slocum. His daughter, a 14 or 15-year-old girl, saw me do it.
None of us proud of that day.
No. Bert Slocum, the brother of Theodore, is a man I really should have killed because he killed my brother.
Bert Slocum. It's the man that owns this town.
That's right. He got the Pleasanton Agency after me.
He wanted to remove the threat from over his own head.
I suppose so.
Slocum doesn't know who you are?
No. But his niece, the girl who saw me kill her father, is here.
She could recognize you. You're sitting on a keg of powder, Jim.
Yeah, I know. I don't know whether I'm going to win.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. I got to mosey along.
Why are you here in Lanyard? The bank?
I don't think I'll answer that.
Don't, Jesse.
Hate to think of you and I looking at each other cross guns. Good seeing you.
Good luck to you.
I might be back sometime. You may not always be Marshal.
Who's this wire going to?
You can read, can't you?
I can read, but who's the Homestead Development Company?
I get paid for driving a wagon, not talking. Hey. I know you.
Been in town long, I've probably had you in jail.
I ain't been in your jail, I just come here. But I know you from somewhere, only I can't remember.
Sorry, I can't help you. Morning, Dave.
Howdy, George.
Hey, Marshal! Marshal, we've been looking all over for you. What's going on around here?
What do you mean? Barbed wire. That's stringing it up out of town. We had a devil of a time getting through. Where?
Why, all over. We can hardly move our stock.
You put a lot of our men in jail, Marshal. But you've been fair about it. You haven't buffaloed any of the boys who didn't ask for it. But we ain't getting a square deal on this barbed wire. I'll look into it.
Knew we could talk to you.
Trainload of wires just come in for the Homestead Development Company.
Who are they?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out.
Whoever they are, they've been keeping it pretty quiet.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Breakfast about ready?
Sure. Go on in. Bring it on, Dan.
Bring me a cup of coffee, will you, Dad?
Sure thing, Miss Gale.
Eat your breakfast. What's bothering you, George?
Barbed wire and
And what?
somebody I just saw.
Say, Marshal, you better take a look at that sign outside. Johnny Tankred just nailed it up.
Tankred. Excuse me a minute.
Hold on. Get these cattle out of here. New city ordinance. No driving cattle through town.
Since when?
Since today.
What is this, Tankred?
I'm your new deputy.
Who gave you the job?
City council appointed me last night, same time as they passed the new ordinance. I'll show you how to run a town, Cummings. All right, get those cattle out of here.
How can I get these cattle to the loading pens without driving them down the street?
That ain't my business. I'll give you 2 minutes to get that beef off the street.
Drive them on down.
I was told to enforce the new ordinance.
I'm still, Marshal. Let them pass. All right, boys, drive them through.
Tell the men to keep their mouths shut. It's nobody's business but... Ah, Marshal. I'll talk to you later.
Johnny Tankred tells me he's been made my deputy.
Why, yes, Cummings. Hobson brought it up at the council meeting last night. Said what a fine job you've been doing.
Thanks.
As a matter of fact, you've been doing too good a job. Been on duty all day and most of the night, and we, that is, the council, decided that you ought to have an assistant.
Johnny Tankred?
Oh, a good man, Cummings. Not too much experience, but he was peace officer at Prairie City only last year.
I know about him.
You've got to sleep sometime. Can't be on duty day and night.
He drew on me.
While you had your gun on him?
He was looking for trouble, that new ordinance.
I told you to let him drive through.
I did. I wasn't bothering him any. Well, he came back here and kept jawing at me. And then he drew. There's always some fool that doesn't know when the score's against him.
Do you know when the score's against you?
What's the idea?
You're through, Johnny. I'm firing you.
You can't fire me.
Maybe not, but I can kill you. And I will if you don't drop that gun. Now take off that badge. I said take that badge off.
Thanks, Marshal. He made Bill draw.
Sorry, boys.
So Slocum gave you a deputy.
Give a man like Tancred a badge and...
He frightens me every time I see him.
Hey, Marshal, was it Cheyenne we met?
Never been to Cheyenne.
I have.
Yeah, I remember you from there. Dealing faro and French jacks, wasn't you?
French jacks?
Yeah.
Was that before or after you got run out of town? Dirty bushwhacker?
Is that the someone you saw before?
Mm-hmm. He thinks he knows me.
Does he?
Yes, but he can't remember from where.
Do you?
His name's Yancey. He was at Florence. He's got reason to remember me.
Two more of the same.
You buying?
Yeah.
Say.
Saw you talking with the marshal a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, you know, I know him from somewheres, only I just don't recall where. It's been a long time ago.
He was a detective before he came here. A Pleasanton detective.
No, it ain't from that I remember him. I don't have no truck with detectives. Not me. Detectives is one breed I steer clear of. Say, you know, maybe if I had another drink, I'd...
Have a couple. Two more from a friend.
Yeah.
Come in.
Ah, Mr. Slocum.
I'm glad to see you, Mr. Lanyard.
I'll be busy for a while, Jones. Have a seat.
Thank you.
I came all the way from Kansas City just to see you, Slocum.
All right, Lanyard. I see you want to get to the point.
There's a load of barbed wire ahead of this car. It's the 6 carloads you've bought in the past month. You also bought 200 plows and $20,000 worth of miscellaneous farming equipment. I want to know what the devil you're up to, Slocum.
Obviously, I'm fencing in some land and getting ready to do some farming.
The only thing you can grow out here are prairie dogs.
All right, Charlie. I'll give it to you short and sweet. We made a deal to share in everything that came from this town.
Just a minute, Slocum. You had 12,000 acres of land out here that you got from the government at 50 cents an acre. I swung the railroad south 7 miles just to cut through your worthless land.
For which I paid you $50,000 and cut you in for half the town side.
That extra 7 miles cost $250,000.
Cost the railroad stockholders, not you. They paid for the extra track. But you got $95,000 as your share of the profit since this town has been in existence. If that isn't enough, why don't you buy me out and have it all? 1 square mile of township with every building in it.
And you'll pull out of here?
Oh, I didn't say that. I still have some farming land.
Just how much of this prairie land have you got?
1.5 miles on each side of your track for 14 miles. The township is right in the middle of that.
In other words, you've got the town of Lanyard surrounded.
You might say I've got the town blockaded. According to my figures, About 100,000 head of cattle have been shipped from here since the railroad reached Lanyard. There are about that many head out on the range now, grazing on my land. And I shouldn't be a bit surprised if 500,000 head are shipped from here by the 1st of November.
I'm not arguing figures, Slocum.
I was thinking, in view of the fact that I'm giving the railroad so much business, the railroad ought to give me something.
What?
About $1 per head of cattle.
You're mad, Slocum.
I've got you blockaded. Not one head of cattle will reach your shipping pens unless I let them cross my property. Oh, you don't have to decide now, Charlie. Take a day. "24 hours. Take your feet off of there.
I got a real bone for you to chew on, boss. I just ran into a fellow who knows Cummings.
Everybody in town knows him.
Yeah, but this fellow knows him from a way back. He doesn't rightly remember how or where, but he says Cummings was no detective.
What?
This fellow's named Yancey, one of those roustabouts we picked up. I saw him talking to Cummings and...
Johnny, Cummings was never a detective.
Remember? They picked him up with a dead man handcuffed to him. Those handcuffs. I said that no detective would ever bring in Dancer.
If he's not George Cummings, he's...
Jim Dancer.
That's one way to find out for sure. Pleasanton and Chicago. I'll get them to send out a man who knows Cummings. They owe me that much.
What do you want? You can put up your rifle. I'm Marshal Cummings of Lanyard.
I know who you are, but you got no authority out here.
Well, I'm not trying to exercise any authority. I just want to ask some questions.
I got no questions to answer.
Saw you in Bert Slocum's office, so I suppose Slocum's the Homestead Development Company.
You can suppose all you like.
You're putting up barbed wire all over the range.
We ain't knitting sweaters with it.
Hey, Marshal! Marshal, I've been looking for you. Come in here. Slocum's raised my rent 50%. Raised everybody in town. I hear he can't do it. He sold us our leases at big prices. We invested a great deal of money in merchandise and fixtures expecting to make a profit. And now he does this. I can't pay the increase. You talk to him, Marshal. He won't even listen to me. Says it's his property and he can charge whatever rent he wants.
And George, we've just been given notice as of today that we must pay 25% of all gambling winnings to the Lanyard Land Company.
Why, he can't do that.
No, he can't. We can close the gambling.
And cut off our noses?
I'll take him to court.
That wouldn't do any good, and you know how far you'd get with Channel Leach, the judge.
That clown.
I've got something to say to Slocum myself. And this is as good a time as any.
Tell him the merchants protest the outrage he's perpetrated. Tell him we won't pay. It's absurd.
Slocum, I want to have a talk with you.
All right.
I've just been out on the range, Slocum. Why are you putting up barbed wire?
It's my land, and this is my town.
Yes, you own it. You built it. But you invited cattlemen to bring their herds here. You also sold leases to all the businessmen, and they invested their money on the assumption they would get the cattle trade.
And they've been getting it.
They have, but they won't anymore if you keep cattlemen from coming to Lanyard.
Whatever gave you the idea that I want to do anything like that?
That no cattle driving on the street ordinance.
Oh, the city council passed that ordinance.
Your counsel.
All right, my counsel. But there's nothing in that ordinance preventing the cattlemen from driving their stock around the town and bringing them to the loading pens from the railroad side.
No, and there's nothing in that ordinance saying you should raise their rents or cut yourself in for 25% of the gambling. You think Milo, Miko, and the rest of the people of this town are going to take this lying down? It won't work, Slocum. The cattlemen and the merchants will tear this town apart.
Cummings, you may be right. I'm going to tell you something. It cost a lot of money to establish this town, and, well, I extended myself a bit too far. I'm going to Kansas City in a day or two to raise some money, and when I get back, I'm going to drop the rents back to where they were and rescind the other things.
You mean that?
Of course I mean it.
If you lost your mind,
shut up. Shut up!
Slocum?
Yes?
My name is Clifford Bailey. I just got in from Chicago. I'm with the
Pleasanton Detective Agency. I'm glad to see you, Mr. Bailey. Sit down, won't you?
You telegraphed us you had reason to believe that a man named George Cummings here is an imposter.
That's right. You're familiar with the Cummings Dancer case?
Yes.
You know, the fact that Cummings didn't bring in Dancer and resigned his job at the same time is always stuck in my craw.
We've often talked about that at the office. It wasn't like George.
Oh, it wasn't?
Let me tell you something, Mr. Bailey. That case cost me $12,000. I yelled my head off for positive identification. And what satisfaction did I get? This.
I know how you feel, Mr. Slocum. That's why I'm here, at our expense. Where would I be likely to find this man?
At the El Dorado, right down the street. Him and the Tin Horn Gamma were pretty good friends.
Well, we'll soon know if he's Cummings or not. All right if I leave this here?
Of course.
You'd better take a look at this.
Cliff?
Cliff! Dave! By all that's holy. What are you doing here?
Well, I own this place. A half interest, that is. You remember I was always pretty handy with the cards. Didn't I win most of the money in the 14th Missouri Cavalry?
You got my pay a couple of times before I got smart. It's 7 years since we were mustered out. I thought you were going to keep in touch.
Well, I've been pretty much on the go. What are you doing in this part of the country?
Believe it or not, I'm a detective. Work for the Pleasanton Detective Agency of Chicago.
Florence. This is an old friend of mine, Cliff Bailey. We were in the Army together. My partner, Florence Peel.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
How do you do, Mr. Bailey? Did I hear you say you were a detective?
Why, yes. Did I say something wrong?
No, not at all, only... What are you doing here in Lanyard?
There's no particular secret about it. One of our operators, a man named George Cummings, resigned under, well, rather peculiar circumstances some weeks ago. And to make a long story short, we got a telegram asking the agency to send down someone to identify Cummings.
Slocum.
Huh?
Slocum has reason to believe that George Cummings is an imposter.
He doesn't say that, only... Well, he spent a considerable sum of money with the agency a while back on a matter.
He paid $12,000 to get Jim Dancer.
Will you have a drink, Cliff?
No. Well, thanks, Dave. Cummings was a friend of yours?
Yes. I first met him after he'd been sitting all night in a riverbank, handcuffed to a dead man. I cut off the dead man's hand.
I heard about that. I didn't know it was you.
After that, he became a track layer on the Missouri, Kansas, and Pacific. He landed here with the railroad and immediately got pulled into a fight with a drunken killer. He killed the man. The town demanded that he become marshal. He didn't want to do it. We persuaded him. Cliff, I've seen peace marshals all the way from Ogallala, Nebraska to Ogden, Utah. I've seen them in all the Kansas trail towns. Not a one of them can hold a candle to him.
Yeah, but Dave, what you're saying only heightens a suspicion I already had.
Now, let me tell you something. Because you posted rewards for him, because Bert Slocum paid you to hound him, you think he's an outlaw and a murderer. He's neither of those, Cliff. Sure, he rode with Quantrell, but that was war. And yes, he killed Slocum's brother, by mistake. But Slocum had killed his brother. He's no more an outlaw or murderer than is Slocum. And he's very much more of a man. Your agent, George Cummings, is dead. Make no mistake about that. His head was crushed by a horse's hoof. I saw that. But Dancer didn't kill Cummings. And Jim Dancer is dead. You understand?
Guess I'll have that drink after all.
George, this is Cliff Bailey of the Pleasanton Detective Agency.
How are you? From the Chicago office?
Bert Slocum sent for him.
Of course. The eastbound train leaves in about 45 minutes, I understand. That's right. Let's take a walk.
Well, George, it's been great seeing you again. Sorry I can't stay in town longer, but Mr. Pleasanton told me to try to get you to come back to the agency. Your job's waiting for you anytime. Bye, George. Come and see us when we get to Chicago. Dave, watch out for that ace in the hole.
I don't know how you did it, Dave, but thanks.
I didn't do anything. I just told him the whole story, and he made the decision.
You're in love with her, Dave.
You know, in another month there won't be a Texas man in town. Half the places in Lanyard board up the windows until next year. I'm thinking of going to New Orleans.
You're in love with her, aren't you?
I'm a gambler, Jim. Florence is the daughter of a gambler.
For that reason, she wouldn't marry a gambler?
Never asked her. Yes, New Orleans must be pretty nice this time of year. Trade will be heavy on the Mississippi. I wouldn't be surprised if a fella could pick up a small fortune.
Florence.
Come in.
If you're not too busy, I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Sit down.
I know business hasn't been any too good lately because the herds haven't come in too fast.
They'll come again in the spring.
I know, but there won't be much going on in Lanyard during the winter. Maybe you'd do better further south.
Dave told you we might close for the winter. Is that what you're getting at in a roundabout sort of way?
Well, he mentioned he might go to New Orleans.
All right, Jim. You asked for it. You want to know whether or not I'm going to New Orleans.
Dave said he might go there.
We might close the El Dorado. We might even sell it. But I'm not going to New Orleans. Don't you know there's only one man I'd go anywhere with? Anywhere he wanted me to go? You're blind, Jim. Or else you're a fool. Come in.
Oh, left this for the marshal. Said it was important.
It's from Evelyn Slocum. She's asking me to come to supper.
She won't have you, Jim. She's not your kind. And if she knew you were Jim Dancer, she'd cross the street so she wouldn't have to pass near you.
I know that better than you, Florence. I killed her father.
I don't believe it.
It's true. I shot him down right before her eyes, and she knows it was Jim Dancer, only she doesn't know that I'm Jim Dancer.
And I've been feeling sorry for myself. There's not much pattern to it, is there? Dave and me and you. Maybe I'll go to New Orleans after all. Good evening, Mr. Cummings. Please come in.
How do you do, Miss Slocum?
May I take your hat? Uncle Bert is in the parlor. Won't you go in?
How are you, Cummings? Glad you could come. Have a drink?
Oh, thank you.
Nonsense, man. A little drink won't hurt you.
Would you excuse me, please? I've got to see about my roast. It's just about done.
Of course, my dear. Sit down, Cummings. Cigar?
No, thanks.
You're just as well off. Your health?
Number FO1.
Say your prayers, Meeker.
T.C. Henderson of Abilene planted 5,000 acres. Harvested 40 bushels to the acre.
We did $1 a bushel, that's all right.
How many acres are you going to put in, Uncle Bert?
Well, I've got over 20,000 acres of land.
You're not going to plant it all in wheat.
Why not? This isn't cattle country, Cummings. No land is if it can grow food. Food comes before anything else.
Beef is food.
This soil is too rich to waste on grazing cattle. Fact of the matter is, this soil is better than Henderson's land at Abilene. I ought to get 50 bushels to the acre.
Slocum! Bert Slocum!
Johnny.
Milo Meeker's been killed.
What?
Shot down by bandits.
Sorry, I'll have to go.
Let's have a drink.
Nice work, Johnny.
George, Ken has something important to tell you.
Sorry, it'll have to wait.
Marshal. 2 bullets right in the back.
Did they get any money?
No, they came charging in, shot Milo, and run out.
How many were there?
There were 3 of them.
No. When I heard the shots, I ran out of my hotel and saw 2 more holding the horses.
5 of them.
Oh, why would anyone want to murder poor Milo? Just when I was thinking the town was getting tamed down.
George, now, George, listen to Ken.
We're a county now, George. Bruno County. And Lanyard's the county seat.
What?
I'm the new county attorney, and you're the sheriff.
Sheriff?
There's your commission. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Good work, Ken, but I wonder who...
Your friend Yancey was one of them.
How do you know?
We saw them making the getaway.
I think I know where I can find them.
I'll ride with you.
Hey, there's somebody coming. It's the marshal.
I'll tell him something that knows he... Hey, you!
Hello, boys.
You got a nerve coming here?
The marshal ain't got no authority out here in the country.
That's right, but I thought you boys would like to ride back into Lanyard on your own account.
Oh, what are you saying?
We ain't lost nothing in Lanyard.
Look here, Marshal, I know you from somewhere. As sure as I'm standing here, I know you.
Did we meet in Chicago?
I ain't never been in Chicago.
Or was it St. Louis?
St. Louis. Let me see.
Keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
Anybody tries anything, he gets it first.
Don't shoot, don't shoot.
Drop your guns.
Start filing out of here. You're going to jail, all of you.
You got no authority outside of the town of Lanyard. You said so yourself.
We'll talk about it later. All right.
Just a moment. Gentlemen, I have a very important announcement to make. As of yesterday, Lanyard is the county seat of Bruno County, Kansas.
What's that?
I now want to introduce to you Judge Lee Currier of the 4th District Court, State of Kansas, who will preside at this trial. Judge Currier.
Wait a minute. This is my court.
This is Justice of the Peace Chandler Leach, Your Honor.
How do you do, sir? We'll discuss your duties later, Mr. Leach. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll call this court to order.
But, Your Honor.
Yes?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Fourth District Court, State of Kansas, now in session. Proceed, Mr. County Prosecutor.
Your Honor, the State of Kansas versus 5 John Does. Charge, willful murder.
Just a minute, Your Honor. I have been asked to represent the defendants, and I ask the court to dismiss this ridiculous charge on the grounds of lack of evidence.
Your Honor, before you make your decision, I should like to call just one witness.
I object.
Objection overruled. Proceed.
Otto Holtz.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
I object.
Keep your objections until later. Proceed.
Tell us your name.
Otto Holtz.
Your occupation?
Well, I work in Mr. Meeker's store. I did.
What happened there yesterday evening, shortly after 8 o'clock?
Well, ain't that what this is about? I thought you knew.
Well, Mr. Holtz, perhaps you'd better tell the court in your own words just what happened at Milo Meeker's store last night.
Sure. That's what I'm here for. Mr. Meeker was killed by them. I object.
Objections overruled. It's apparent the prosecutor is trying to make an identification. Proceed.
Now, Otto, answer this next question carefully. Did you see the faces of the men who last night came into the store and shot down Milo Meeker in cold blood?
Of course I seen them. Them 3 come running in, and that one did the killing.
You're a liar, you dirty lopbit.
Sit down.
Dancer. Jim Dancer, that's who you are. You hit me and... Hey, Judge, he ain't no sheriff. He's Dancer. Jim Dancer, the famous outlaw. Dancer. He's Jim Dancer, the outlaw. I know him. We was together with Quantrell.
Is he telling the truth?
Yes, I'm Jim Dancer.
Come on, men, we're free. Jim Dancer can't arrest anybody. He's an outlaw himself.
Stay back there, Yancey.
It ain't legal. You're a killer yourself. Marshal's Jim Dancer. Jim Dancer? Yeah, Jim Dancer. What?
Silence!
Another outburst like this and I shall clear the courtroom. Are you Jim Dancer?
I am. If you want me, I'll be at the hotel.
Come on, let's hold it. This trial will continue.
What you're going to do, and I won't let you do it. You don't know what you're doing. Jim Dancer's the best man you've ever known. Stop it, you little fool. Go home, do you hear me? Go home. You killed my father, Jim Dancer. You killed him. You shot him down in cold blood. It's 9 years, and I've thought of it every single day. Every single... Maybe you'd like to use that on me. Well, go ahead. Oh, Jim.
You have been found guilty, each one of you. And the sentence of the court is that you shall be hanged by the neck until you are dead. Silence! Silence! Remove the prisoners. Get going.
Well, I think that's all right. That's a real good judge.
All right, Johnny.
Step aside. You're free, boys. I'm taking over the town. Come on, help yourself to some guns. Come on. Well, if it ain't the ex-marshal, ex-sheriff's assistant.
Keep away, Tancred.
Well, I wouldn't think of bothering you, Mr. Oldham, but I thought you might want to come along while I arrest your friend Jim Dancer.
You're gonna arrest Dancer?
He's an outlaw, ain't he? It's a law-abiding town, and we don't tolerate outlaws.
What do you call these?
They're my deputies.
Deputies. This scum isn't fit to clean Jim Dancer's boots.
Just for that, lady, you can have a ringside seat at Dancer's hanging.
You'll never see Jim Dancer hang.
Oh, no? What do you think we're headed for right now?
He means it, Florence. Warn Jim.
Here, you...
Meister!
No arrest, Dancer.
And you're gonna hang.
Will you let this bunch loose?
Yeah, and you should see the fancy shooting we've been doing. The judge and the lawyer.
And your gambler friend.
Oldham?
I never saw a deader man in my life. I've been after you a long time, Jim Dancer. You're tough, but before this day is over, you'll be down on your knees begging.
Yancey, go find that Judge Leach or Peach or whatever his name is.
For what?
Go ahead. All right, Mr. Dancer. Just in time, Slocum. Didn't think you'd miss it. All right, go ahead.
Slocum! I can't do do it. I can't. I haven't got authority to try a man on a hanging matter. This is the county now.
The county's been unformed. And if you need any authority to try this man, here it is. Judge, do you think you have enough authority now?
Yes, sir.
The prisoner is a notorious outlaw and murderer, one Jim Dancer. That's him here, the sick-looking bird. What's the matter, Judge? Can't you say something?
Yes, sir. What is the evidence against this man?
Evidence, Judge? I just told you he was a murderer. Isn't my word good enough in this court?
I can give you some evidence. I saw him kill a man once.
What more evidence do you want?
That's right. I find the prisoner guilty as charged.
That's fine, Judge. Just fine. Now the sentence.
$25. Death. Death by hanging.
Thank you, Judge. You did a good job. There are plenty of witnesses here who heard you sentence the prisoner, just in case there's any question about it later. Now, let's get on with the hanging. That oak at the end of the street is just right for hanging. Come on! Fine tree. Nice drop. Where's the rope? Where's the rope?
Right here. The article you wanted, friend.
Who are you?
We're strangers in town. We thought since
Don't concern strangers. Be healthy to mind your own business.
It's not every day a hanging comes along. Be ashamed to miss one. Besides, that's my rope you're using. That ought to be good for an admission ticket.
Stay. But keep clear. You said you wanted the pleasure. Or would you rather do it?
No.
What's the matter with you? You said you wanted to tie the knot, so tie it.
Takes a lot of nerve to hang a man. Maybe your friend's chicken-hearted.
I warned you to keep out of this. Bring over that horse. Well, Sheriff, you had a short run.
Yours may be even shorter.
I don't mind telling you that my plans don't call for me to hang around here. Sorry, boss, but I've worked long enough for small change. There's $150,000 in that bank of yours, and I can go quite a long ways with it.
What's that you say? Are you figuring to rob the bank?
I want you to stay out of this.
The hanging's one thing, mister. That may be your line of work. But holding up banks, mine.
Look out, Tankard! He's Jesse James!
Why don't you fight, you yellow coward? I ain't fighting Jesse James. Well, if you're not fighting, then start running.
Thanks, Jesse. You, Cole, all of you.
Sorry to break my promise, Jim. I wouldn't have done it only I thought it'd help you out. We got word in a roundabout sort of way that we're having a little trouble here because the man that owned this town had too much money. We were tipped off that he wouldn't make so much trouble if he lost about $150,000 he kept in the local bank.
You say you got tipped off?
It's the truth, Jim. So help me. Big railroad man tipped us off. A man by the name of Lanyard. Got a good railroad, too. May have to hold it up someday. Will you be riding with us, Jim?
A man's got to play the hand he's dealt, and mine's here.
Jesse, we better go. Right. Been good seeing you again. Maybe this makes up for the time you saved my life at Baxter Springs.